Yep. Yeah, maybe that was in Ed's mind there when he was thinking about what distance he was going to leave those two balls. He was thinking, well, I don't have to put these that far apart for it to still be challenging. So the takeoff from Reg goes on its way. Remember, the lawns are a lot faster than they were earlier.
It's good pace. It's a great
but
shot.
It's a very good pace, and I don't think he's on the northern side. No, he's on the southern side, so he can't get the blue any closer to the black. So Reg with this tricky takeoff now to get a rush on black to hoop 1. Means he's basically got to put his yellow ball between the black and the boundary line, which is about 7 yards away. And that ball is curving, and I think that's out, Pete.
Oh, well,
I think that's out. That is from where I'm looking here. That ball looks out. That looks distinctly out to me.
Camera work shows it's out. Yes.
Yeah, and that is out. And you called it. That was a tricky boundary. And Ed set the distance perfectly. If he'd set it a yard shorter, it wouldn't have gone out. But so
all in hindsight, but I was going to say, when Reg is lining up the takeoff, saying, I think you just about got to aim at the ball here and just let the drift do the work. And I think he aimed it not actually, to where he wanted to end up, but a little bit inside the ball.
Wow. Well, Ed appeared to he almost ran out there as if someone had said that there were some free drinks on the other side of the lawn.
It's my cunning plan came off.
It'd be interesting to talk to him about that later on, but he's even got himself, the curve of the lawn has even given him a rush now as well.
Just to rub it into Reg.
I think
you should have played it like this.
I think he's going to have to go and put, if he ends up winning the championship, he needs to make a special spot in that part of the lawn. And put a little plaque there because
Edge corner.
Yeah, that is.
It's a good shot, good rush.
It's a great rush. Well, incredible stuff. Reg's ball couldn't have gone out by much more, Ed's capitalised on it beautifully. Yep, smooth through. Little rush down south. So we'll probably have to shape to load the blue to Rover, I suppose. But he'll be wanting to make as a reception ball something else other than blue, ultimately.
Great shot, Edward.
Yep. Okay, lovely
Nice
rush
controlled
held.
rush.
Lovely rush held on Penal. So the icing on the cake here would be.
Put a bit of cut into that.
It did, and it's got a little bit long. And as we said, it's these middle hoops that are the more notorious. but nearly 3 yards away, approaching from the side. And
that's a great recovery,
playing it pretty much perfectly. A little bit of an angle, but plenty of reception balls for him, depending on what the strength of the shot is that takes the ball through. And that's great for him because he'll be able to load yellow as a reception ball now. So that's absolutely perfect. Yep. So this is really nice stuff now. That yellow ball will be there waiting after he's made rover, and the blue will be off to the side so that it can be rushed to the peg. Just making sure the balls are in contact. That would be a shame to be called by the referee at that stage, but it will be coming through.
He's going straight for the rush on the blue.
Straight for the rush on the blue? No.
Sorry, again,
the angles can be deceiving there, can't they? Yeah. Funnily enough, the rush he's likely to get is not much better. And remember, he was flat last time when he was going for these. This time he makes no mistake.
Out of the way. Yep.
Now the key thing is not to rush the blue into rover. That's what you don't want to do.
Well, or onto the peg.
You also don't want to rush it onto the peg. But if you can avoid those two things, then
cut that one away.
That was certainly an area of safety there. But he's left himself
land to get over.
Yeah. So we might see Stephen Howes.
Even the rush into penultimate and a couple of little shots. He's feeling a little bit there, Edward, by the look of him.
Okay, peg and peg. Update that on the scoreboard. Nice symmetry to the scoreboard now. I suspect there will be more symmetry after this. And indeed, referee is out.
That's our man Stephen again.
Yep, Stephen Howes. Ed really making sure of this one. Looking from the top, the bottom, the side, everything. And now successfully pegging both balls out. Well done, Ed.
Levels up the match.
Levels up the match to 2-2.
Couple of minute break.
And well, a little bit of drama in that one. And we will be back for the 5th and concluding game of this semi-final.
no control. The club has no control whatsoever over the carry. Lots of suggestions and no way to. Long Island has several clubs. It's a shame that within a immediate area, there are no multi-one venues that are really available for that. Further out on the island, there are clubs that have some capacity being given to, just developing events, AC event. Clubs that have no interest in AC or no desire to have outside. Yeah, I try. That's it. I get my value. Well, it's got its challenges, and the trouble with it is that if that's the game that you learn, you're learning a game that punishes risk taking, so it doesn't encourage good attacking. It encourages defensive. Just doesn't breed shooters. You can't shoot away. Depend on that. Stay together. Doing that way for turns and turns until I
Okay, well, hello everybody again. We've been caught out by surprise by the very early arrival of the players for this game. The decider in the World Championship semi-final. I'm going to get our attributions correct. So Reg played his first shot 10 yards north of corner 4, and Ed has played a corner 2 opening a little bit south of corner 2. So we've been treated to some fantastic drama already in this game, in this match I should say, and we find ourselves at 2-all. The winner to go through to meet Matthew Essick, who had a fantastic victory over Robert Fletcher earlier today. For those of you who might just be joining us for this last and final game, the lawns are running pretty quickly. They've had all day to dry out. There's been a brisk wind and they've been bathed in sunshine, but the temperature remains quite low, maybe about 20 degrees. But it's a very cool wind, and we have to have sympathy with our camera person Kathleen, who's out on the balcony enjoying all the wind but none of the sun, whereas Blake out on the lawns there at least is bathed in sunshine. So Reg now going to take a shot at his first ball. And for those who haven't been following, I'm Gareth Denyer, and I'll be joined in a second or two by Pete Landreeb. We've been commentating on most of the action today. We were joined by Kerry Ann Orgard for a while, but we've had the pleasure of being able to bring this commentary to you for pretty much most of the day. So Reg coming up to take his shot. He's been through his pre-shot routine, now totally focused on hitting that blue onto the black, which he doesn't do. Falling slightly to the right, and that will give Ed a chance to shoot in. Whether Ed shoots at the double that he might craft from the end of from B-Balk round corner 3, or whether he'll take it with a fancier shot from the end of A-Balk is yet to be seen. So as we look out over lawn 4, we can see the army of hoop setting volunteers busy at work setting the lawns for tomorrow, in particular lawn 1, which will be used for the final, and they'll be setting them as tight as they possibly can and buried in very tight hoop holes lined with sphagnum moss. They'd probably line them in concrete if they possibly could, but the sphagnum moss is pretty effective at keeping them very tight. Now Ed is giving himself every chance of a double here with this shot, and we should get a nice angle of what he can see. You can see just in the distance there the double that he's created for himself.
Yeah. He's gone a little bit wider than Reg.
He's gone a lot wider, hasn't he, Pete? Yeah. Yeah, he's gone a lot wider, and he's got this lovely pendulum which he swats and misses a fairway to the right. Yeah.
He's usually clipping the left-hand side of those balls.
Yeah,
So
so that's unusual for Ed. And really the Eddie slope on the boundary there is not going to come into play because Ed hits it so hard. And they're running so fast. There's no opportunity for that to come into play.
Going slightly wide, he took all of that drift out. I think it went where he aimed it.
So, mouth-watering prospect over the next hour or more, maybe an hour, maybe 3. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully both players get into the game.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to see them
both a chance.
Lovely to see them both make a break.
Watching from the balcony there, and I missed the start of the game, but there's a full contingent of all the North American players in the event here watching on.
Yeah, I can see.
With the good luxury of,
Yeah, I can see.
Matthew being able to see who his opponent is, that he's done his hard work.
Yep, and Matt Essick is down in the shed in Lawn 2. I mean, it would be great if Matt could come up to the commentary booth and give us a few words. But, I'm sure his folks back home would be interested to hear what he had to say. Red shaping for a rush, which he's going to take to hoop 1. Would you ever rush to the yellow ball in corner 2 there, Pete?
I don't. I like rushing to hoop 1. A lot of the English players rush to hoop 2. Yeah, I mean, if you can grab a yard out of that lawn on corner 2 is a good thing, I suppose. But and you're rushing down on a line. On
a line, yes, rather than across.
Than across the face, but this
but
seems to be quite a popular route, a shorter rush, and you get to know this pace quite often.
And look how fast that is. Yeah. Look how fast that is. He barely stroked that, and it's gone 20 yards. So I think Rosie has been successful in coaxing Matt to come up. So let's not jinx that by making any predictions, but if he does come up, I'll let you interview him, Pete.
You're anchorman. You can't play anchorman role.
Yeah, no, but I think Matt will benefit from talking to the expert rather than the enthusiastic amateur.
There's anchor plus extras.
Well, also I get to give him the dodgy headset, which will unsettle him. So.
Red's looking pretty good straight away.
Yeah.
Where's his rush facing? Oh no, he hasn't got any rush to the black, but he can certainly.
And we're lucky to have in the commentary booth today's winning semi-finalist, Matt Essick. Congratulations, Matt! Fantastic game. We loved commentating on your heroics.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And do you have friends and family back home that are following your progress?
I do. My entire family got a chance to watch today. And
did they? They were actually watching the coverage.
They did.
They did. Oh well. Pete and I will sign some copies of the video later for you. Then. That's,
They commended the commentary many times. You guys doing a very, very good job up here. So.
Well, if we were doing half as good a job as you were doing on the lawns, we'd be pretty pleased. So,
thank you very much.
So, what were the highlights for you today in the games? What were the crucial moments and the moments when you felt that you were on your way?
Well, when you play a guy as good as Robert, you really want to limit his opportunities to hit.
Yeah.
As in games 1 and 2, I think he hit 4 or 5 20-plus yard shots.
Yes.
And as a opponent, that's not a something that instills confidence in you. So I just wanted to make sure anytime I got an opportunity to finish, to try and be really aggressive to make sure there's some triple opportunities I had that normally I probably wouldn't be as aggressive, but against a guy like Robert, you just have to because you give him one more shot and it's too many.
Yeah, that's right.
So I try to be really aggressive, but as you've probably seen, the lawns today are much more difficult than they've been all week.
It's very interesting because from here on the one hand we see all the players in the semi-finals doing fantastic approaches that just make the lawns look easy, but on the other hand we see that when you're playing a rush or a lagging sort of shot, the ball is just taking ages and ages to stop. So we know that it's running fast.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out is if you're approaching from behind the hoops, it's still difficult, but not nearly as difficult as normally if you have a reverse takeoff, it's not ideal, but it's still manageable.
Right.
And today, a reverse takeoff or any approach from the side where you're approaching across the hoop is just about impossible.
It's really hairy.
It's very, 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 very. You have to be very timid and approach instead of going for that 1 foot to 1.5 foot. You have to go for 2.5 feet to 3 feet back.
Yeah.
And it makes a massive difference as far as. If you're shooting a 1 yard hoop shot, you're not thinking about control.
No.
You're thinking about making the hoop first.
That's
and so
right. We've seen a lot of people making 6 yard return roquets because they're prioritizing that hoop. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially they've done a great job, especially the referees and everybody have done a great job of making sure the hoops are firm, difficult. And these quadways are not friendly.
They're not friendly.
Most people aren't willing to say that, but they are anything but trivial.
Yeah.
So.
And are you used to playing with these quadways back home?
So I actually this is pretty interesting. Until 2 days before I came here, I never played on them.
Really?
So there's a guy that lives about an hour and a half north of me by the name of David Malouf, who he has lawns that run similar to the speeds of this, and he has quadways, and so I said, set him as tight as you can, and give me a chance to get some practice. And so
that's right. Well, that was a worthwhile 1.5 hour
it was
drive,
absolutely.
wasn't it?
It's one thing I've noticed about these, and it's a little bit different in the States as far as the hoops we have is even the difficult conditions in the States. Angled hoops are difficult, but very runnable.
Yeah, you can bully them.
You can bully them. If you put a good stroke on the ball and you hit it pretty hard, it's going to go through. And these quadways, any angled hoop shot is a knee knocker. You're not happy to have one. So I've tried to play a lot more. I'd rather approach to 3 feet straight on than go for that 12-inch dead in front spot and get a slight angle, because the slight angle can make a massive difference on the chances to run the hoop.
Yeah, well, and we've seen in Reg and Ed's game, we've seen both players have second thoughts about taking on an angled hoop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was a good decision, I think, in all the cases, because it's quite rare to be able to force the ball through. But we noticed you played a couple of your angled hoops with a bit of a jump.
I actually in back home in the States, I play a lot of jump shots on hoop shots where I hold the top of the mallet. And I spoke to Felix Webby, who in New Zealand they use these hoops very often.
Yes.
And he plays some form of a 3/4 roll jump shot.
Right.
And we talked about it before the tournament started, and I decided after some practice that was more consistent.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get the ball as high as it needs to be and hit the right spot with a 3/4 roll rather than these hoops, like you said, you just can't bully them. You can't just give it a whack and hope it slides through. They're not very friendly. Yeah. So I definitely had to change my approach.
Yeah.
So
well, and you had a pretty frightening moment when you clanged hoop 6 almost inexplicably. I mean, everything was just going so smoothly, and suddenly this routine shot.
It was.
And I hope your folks back home don't hold it against us that we had to look at the replay of it.
No, I've definitely. That was one of those ones where I don't think I gave it enough time. It's you have those hoops that are 9 or 12 inches away, and you take the time, but it's one of those ones. It's out of 100 you miss it once or twice.
Yeah, well,
and it's one of those ones that I really don't think I just don't think I gave it enough time and gave it enough thought. And the thing about this other thing about the quadways I wanted to mention is misses on other hoops are not nearly as embarrassing.
Yes.
These hoops, even if you miss close, you barely miss it, and they don't jaw, so you never end up in the jaws of these hoops. It pops out right, pops out left, whatever it is, and so
and it positively rejects it,
it
doesn't
does.
it? It's almost like it's taken energy from the ball and thrown it
correct,
back.
Correct. It really is. It's remarkable how much these hoops reject, and it adds a completely different aspect to the game, and especially more than anything, the thing I've noticed a difference on is peels. On peels, normally you, especially the 4-back peel after 3, you go for the jaws and you're happy.
Yes.
And on these hoops, they don't go in the jaws very often.
So they actually don't settle in the jaws.
They do not. It's either going through or, like I said, they reject so well that if you miss slightly, it just pops out left or right, and especially when it's so crucial to get those peels in a certain amount of times. It's difficult if that peel pops out to the right and it's not sitting right in front and rush peelable and whatnot. So that's one thing I've definitely had to take more care on as far as any peel attempt. You really got to take advantage of that peel attempt, because if it doesn't go through, it's not going to be in the jaws very often.
That's right. That's right.
So
anyways, it was amazing that the first couple of games you played were almost carbon copies of each other. The super shot openings going in, hitting on the third turn, third turn 9, suddenly there were ducks in a row, and both you and Robert took the same shots and at the right hand duck and just narrowly missed, both of you, and so it was really funny. It was like we were commentating on the same.
That's right.
The same game.
He's and like I'll mention this probably many times, but I really do believe he's probably the best shot in the world.
Yeah.
He's just so consistent. His swing is so pure, and he had some misses he probably wants back, and some misses that, as an opponent, I really didn't see coming.
Yeah. Well, the 7-yard shot.
The game 4. I said a leave that I wasn't very happy with. Wasn't very happy with not like I was talking about. When you play a really good player like that, you want to finish.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to finish. I played a jump shot at Rover, trying to get over top of PLE and get to the deep ball.
Yes.
And it just barely clipped the top of that ball.
Yeah.
And I knew then that I was either going to have to hit a remarkable peg out or it was going to have to continue.
Yeah.
And when you play a guy that good, you really don't want to give him another shot.
No.
And especially I gave him, I think it was about 8 or 9 yards. And if you sit there and ask me how much money I'm willing to put on Robert Fletcher hitting an 8 or 9 yarder, my wallet will be empty.
Absolutely.
So
he's
he's very, very consistent.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing I can assume is sometimes you don't put a good swing on the ball, but he had missed 3 or 4 in a row prior to that, and when you're playing croquet, it's all mental. It's so much confidence based, and when you're not confident in your swing.
But he's got the mental resolve to sort of put that out of his mind.